and Kim, and welcome to Ask Mom's podcast. Yay!
So hello everyone, and welcome to Ask Mom's podcast, the show where we try our best to be your cheerleaders, kids, moms, dads, everyone really. As we always remind everyone, we are not professionals, but we can certainly share our seasoned experience, researched information, and most importantly, remind you that you're awesome. If you feel you need professional support, please reach out to a qualified medical expert. So today's episode is a little different. We're joined today by a really cool person, Mayor Rick Maloney of Bracebridge, Ontario. Well, maybe you wouldn't think of a mayor as generally cool, but he actually is due to the fact that he's approachable, open to ideas, not afraid to have a little fun on the Bracebridge Library videos. And then professionally, through his actions, you can see how he just generally loves our town and community. So welcome, Mayor Maloney.
Thank you.
Rick, you said?
Yeah, Rick is fine.
Okay. And
It's been 4 years. I still haven't got my wife to call me your worship yet. So there you go.
There you go. You keep working at that.
Work in progress.
I think that's down a hollow hole.
Yeah, it is. I think so, Kim.
So today we're really looking forward to hearing about the human side of the role, no politics. What it's like day to day, the unexpected moments, maybe some challenges, rewarding times, and the things that maybe might surprise us. Right, Kim?
Sounds good, yes. So, Kayad Mealy Falcha, your worship.
Oh.
Ooh, look at her.
It's because it's St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Thought we would welcome you in the Irish Gaelic language. So that means 100,000 welcomes.
Oh,
Wow.
there you go.
Isn't
Wow.
that beautiful?
That is cool.
And I do apologize to anybody out there who does speak the language because I really practiced a lot. Thank you for taking the time to visit with us and help us understand a little bit more about the human side of being our awesome mayor. We're stepping away from the headlines and having a real conversation with you about the community and the people who help shape it. So this isn't about politics, it's about perspective, community, and that person behind the role. So let's start simple. What inspired you to become mayor?
Well, first of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction.
You're super welcome.
I haven't been called cool in a long time, but anyway, that is cool. So, what inspired me to be mayor? I don't think I, ever kind of woke up and said, yeah, I want to be mayor. It's, as you both know, it's sometimes, opportunities, the way that life happens and where you are in life and things like that. And, I've always been someone that's been involved in the community. I started off my, if you want to call political life, as a school board trustee for 10 years. And
I remember that.
And enjoyed that, and was also involved at the same time with our town. I was on a number of committees and involved in the Ontario Winter Games as a community chair. And it just naturally progressed. In 2010, there was an opportunity for me to put my name forward for Bracebridge Council as a councillor. I did, was elected, and appreciated the support from the community for that. And then a new mayor, Graydon Smith, who was our new mayor at the time, asked me to be his deputy mayor. And, if Graydon Smith was still mayor today, I would still love being his deputy. So I never had an aspiration to be mayor. Yeah. Graydon, of course, went on to a different path in his political life, and that left an opportunity. And in 2022, I was appointed by council to fill the remainder of his term, and in that fall I ran in the municipal election, and again, through the continued thanks of the community for their support, was elected mayor in 2022. So, I think after the election in 2022, I probably sat there and said, how did I get here? But, I think it's, as I said, it's never something that, for me, it's never been something to say, well, I want to be mayor. It's just, it happened. There was the opportunity. I felt that I could serve in the role. I felt I had the experience to do it. And I tell you, if former Mayor Smith was here, he's always said it, and I say it as well, it's the best job I've ever had.
Awesome.
That's wonderful
So
to
you guys,
hear.
yeah, so you guys really worked well together.
We really kind of, set the kind of standard on those relationships as a mayor, deputy mayor, I will say. And I am so blessed to have a great deputy mayor in Brenda Rhodes. I've tried to develop that relationship in a similar vein. And with Brenda, she's a new term counselor, kind of guiding her the best I can, engaging with her. But then she has a lot of experience that she brings to the table that helps me as well. So I think we are on the same kind of synergy that, Graydon and I had with Brenda.
I can
Brenda.
kind of see that. Brenda was a guest.
Yes.
We had
Talk
Brenda as a guest.
basketball.
Yeah. So I can see that,
Yeah.
you know.
So interesting where your journey takes you, isn't it?
It is,
You know?
yeah,
And it
yeah.
does take a village.
Yeah, it does.
It really
Yeah.
does.
So there really wasn't a moment where you said, I want to do this. It was just basically a progression.
Yeah, it was. And, I think, as deputy mayor, when Graydon resigned to take on his new role, everyone looked at me saying, yeah, you're the logical choice to fill in the remainder of the term. And then, the term ends and you say, am I going to do this for 4 years? And yeah, I said, I think I can do it. I think I can bring my experience to the
Thanks
table.
for keeping the hat.
Well, yeah, the kind of measure is, you never want to leave something worse than what you got it at. I'm hoping that measure is still true with me.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's been, as I say, it's been the best job I've ever had.
Oh, awesome.
That's wonderful
So
to
you
hear.
guys,
Yeah.
yes.
If somebody doesn't know how you go about becoming a mayor, what is the process? What if somebody wants to become mayor? What should they start doing, and how do they start that journey?
Well, one of the things I love doing is talking to young people about what I do, and talk about being right down humbled to the lowest denominator. This past winter, I went to a Beavers and Cubs meeting and brought the chain of office, and,
Oh, yeah.
and they all had a chance to touch the chain, put the chain on. Our municipal clerk, Lori McDonald, will probably go crazy knowing that it's been all pawed up and all that. But I think it's not my chain; it's the public's chain, right? And it's the community's chain. Just having the kids in all their honesty and transparency ask you questions about being the mayor and all that stuff. It was really, really cool. And so, my advice to anyone is not to pick the highest apple, but think about how you can give back to your community. And what does that look like? In many respects, it will happen organically. There's no school to become a mayor. There's no training. It goes back to what I said before. It's about how your life unfolds, the opportunities that are before you. I started out just being involved in my community. I think if you kind of think of it that, how do I get that path to be mayor? That's probably not the best kind of advice.
Yeah.
It's all about being part and parcel of the community, being engaged in the community, making those decisions when those opportunities come and what kind of level of involvement you want to have.
I hear you. It's like an organic happening because you care about the community, so you've always been involved, and that people see this and realize this.
It's kind of like that whole hockey thing, like, I want to be in the NHL. Well, how about just play hockey
Yes.
first?
Yeah.
And enjoy hockey.
Yeah.
And develop your skill and see where that takes you, right?
Right. It's not like a business. You're supposed to
It's
have
like
the
a
passion for it and the interest. And if that keeps you interested and you keep going, then eventually that's
It's
where
like a
you'll be.
natural progression.
It is. It is.
Excellent
It is.
answer.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so let's look at your day. What would a typical day look like for you?
Well, I get up, have Cheerios.
Do you?
Very good. Good for our heart health.
Put a little bit
Some-
of strawberry in
Sometimes I
there
cut some
and-
banana up on it there. But I tell you, my life is it's busy. Controlled busy, I guess, is the best way to describe it. You can be involved at many levels, but when you're a mayor of a community, there's demands on your time, there's demands on your attention, there's demands on your presence. And thankfully, in my life, the last 4 years, I just retired in 2022. So that worked out well for me to be mayor. I don't think I could ever be mayor. I'd be very challenged to be mayor and still hold down a full-time work. I wouldn't be fair to my employer. I wouldn't be fair to the mayor's office and in the role and what the community expects. And I'm not saying that this is strictly for people that are retired, but I just think you have to, that whole life work balance and things like that has to be a big part of it.
So I just learned something because I thought being mayor was a full-time job. Like I thought if you were elected mayor,
Yeah.
that became your job.
You go in your
Yeah.
office and you sit there for
Yeah.
all day long every day.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job, but it's not
Crazy.
full-time pay.
Yeah.
Crazy though. Yeah.
You don't get into it for the honorarium that you receive, right? Your hours are never compensated to the full extent of your time, but that's not why you do it, right?
No.
Our life in council and as mayor works on cycles, so everything's about the meeting cycle and the meeting cycle. So as a mayor, I have my own Bracebridge Council meetings to attend, and that includes in our cycle, there's 2 committees and a council meeting on that cycle every 4 weeks. I also sit on district as a district councillor, and so that has its cycle. So that has a district council meeting and 2 committees and what other committees you're involved with. So you're always kind of working around your cycle, and then you always look forward to that kind of quote-unquote off week where you don't have that kind of regimented meeting schedule. And that's where you kind of fill in with all the other meetings with community members, events and activities and things like that. In this job, really you're a town's cheerleader, you're the head of council, you're the person that people will phone, whether it's a challenge they're having in finding housing or a challenge they're having in whatever that might be. It could be someone that is concerned about a complaint or a change or what, like it goes the gamut. You never can predict what your week is going to be like. And as I say, that off week sometimes I think, oh, geez, I have a chance to catch my breath a little bit, but it always gets infilled with other things that happen. And that's what I like about it. I like that nothing is really the same. I think that I enjoy the opportunity to engage with members of our community. I make myself as accessible as I can, and it's impossible for me to walk through the grocery store. So
that's a good thing, though. That's a very positive thing. And I've heard nothing but people saying, "No, Rick's a good guy."
Oh well,
Like,
I appreciate
No,
that.
I've heard that too.
I appreciate that. I
So
appreciate it.
I've
we know
heard you.
firsthand from those videos, and I mean, you have to have fun in you to do that. Right?
Exactly. So I've heard you say about 8 different jobs. So well done.
Yeah.
Just from, and that's, I'm sure you're just, touching on them. There's
Yeah.
probably a lot more. What's something about the job that people would never expect?
Well, the mayor is not the emperor, right? People will come to me with a problem, a concern, and you should just change that, or you should do this, and we have an elected council. We have legislation from upper levels of government. We're governed by the Municipal Act that we have to follow. We have council's priorities that it establishes. I have 8 other great members of council that, we make collectively decisions on whatever it might be. People understand that if a law is in place or a bylaw is in place, I just can't say, well, ignore it, do something different, whatever. I don't have that power. I'm a head of council. I'm a councillor like all the other 8 councillors around the table. That's really where I find the power of it, because it means that all 9 of us have to work collaboratively. We have certainly a lot of good debate and a lot of good discussion, but at the end of the day, whatever the decision of council is of the 9 members of council, not the mayor, but the 9 members of council, then that's the message and the direction that we go.
Right.
The mayor is the head of council. The mayor does not have ultimate authority to do whatever.
So you've probably hit with a lot of people saying, can you just stop this, or have them stop doing this, and say, well, it's not just on me. You've got a whole group of you have to talk about it.
Yeah. And there's always the rest of the story, right? So on the surface, you might see something and say, well, it seems an easy fix. But 9 times out of 10, there's a very logical reason why it is that way. And sometimes I don't even know what that is. And I have a great supportive staff at the town of Bracebridge who are able to help, kind of, hey, what about this? And why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Every time we get through that discussion, I say, well, that seems reasonable and logical, and I have no questions on why we do that.
Makes
and
sense,
And then I share that with the person who has the question, and they say, oh, I get it. Thanks. Appreciate it."
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But until it's a question to you too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why communication's so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People start assuming things, or they don't understand what's behind whatever's happening. Communication is, to me, like in the business world.
Yeah.
Communication was everything.
Yeah, and Kimmy hit a good point there. It's communication, and it's sharing accurate and factual information too, which is the important piece of that too, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get down the swirls of social media that can send people on a tither, and then when you explain it, oh, well, I'm not sure why I got in a tither over that, right?
Right.
So
So
it's a different world.
This is kind of our focus, right? That we get that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only, in your world, it's in sports, it's in schools, it's
everywhere,
in relationships with kids. So this is part of the reason why we're doing this, to uncover this type of thing.
Yeah.
Like you can get upset, and everybody has, they can get upset, but to blame a process or to blame something, you need to understand everything.
Exactly.
And that's what we kind of try to do.
Yeah.
So nobody's pointing fingers in this room. It's like, just understand each other And if there's something to communicate, even if it's something that people might not want to hear,
Yeah.
they're going to know anyway.
I'm going to put a shameless plug in here for my podcast, Abridged. It started off with, having senior staff or department heads come in and talk about what's happening in their department and answering questions. Communication is key.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let's get a little bit lighter.
Okay.
So have you had any funny or unexpected moments that you can think of? You can share.
So now you're bringing up my TikTok experiences here now.
Oh,
Yeah, those are awesome.
Oh my God, that was so fun. So how did you get involved in that?
Well, Crystal Bergstrom, who's our chief librarian, when she asks you to do something, you almost feel compelled to do it because she just has a great way of engaging you and saying, "Hey, we're just going to do this." Okay, it's been fun. I enjoy. I've done a few of them.
You played guitar.
I played the guitar in one, yeah, for sure. And I guess if you're looking at successes, my successes, or whatever it might be, I think humor is a great elixir, right? And it breaks down so many barriers. And if we can,
Makes you
if
approachable.
we can laugh at each other, if we can laugh together,
Yes. Breaking down barriers.
breaking down the barriers a bit,
Yeah.
right? And it shows some vulnerability too, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's important as well. Is that
Good point.
some of the funnier moments of council. Well, I think we always have. If the mics were live when we start council meetings or before we start council meetings, that first 10 minutes when we're all ready and we're all prepared to start the business of the day, we actually have a lot of jibber jabber back and forth and some fun and some jokes here and there. We got a great
nice.
council kind of rapport that way, and we get along very well. And I think that's what just kind of gets us, in that team spirit. We're
it's a good
here.
place
We're
to start.
here. 9 of us here to make decisions on the best interests of the town, best interests of the community, and everyone around that table is there for the same reason, right? They want to see this community be the best it can be. They want to see Bracebridge to continue to be a growing, prosperous community in Muskoka. And so, I always felt that, having that kind of teamwork and effort is absolutely important. And whether that comes through a little bit of humor here and there or making yourself a little vulnerable, I think it's always a good thing. Anytime you can laugh is a good thing.
Yeah.
Laughter is the best medicine.
It is.
Remember those Reader's Digest books?
Yeah.
And you're starting on a positive note.
Yeah,
Before
exactly.
your reading even
Exactly.
starts.
Exactly.
You're starting on a positive note.
And you might not always all agree on everything,
No, we don't.
and nor should you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We're, exactly. When you come to council, you bring your own lens to the
Yeah.
world, and that lens can be, aligned. It could be opposite. It could be whatever. But the whole idea is that you're having that discussion. You're listening
Yes.
to the position of other people and their points or whatever it might be. At the end of the day, it's a democratic process. You either put your hand up for it or you don't put your hand up for it. And democracy is the ruler of the day. But what I love about and enjoy about all the councils that I've worked with, and this is over 16 years on Bracebridge Council, all the councils I've worked with, you've had those discussions. Sometimes they can be a little tense in terms of what the issue is and the matter, but when the meeting's adjourned, we're all back to the
That's the way
next
it should
agenda
be.
and what we can do, and we stand beside and behind the decision that was made.
That's
Well
awesome.
said. Well said. Thank you. We imagine there are also challenges that people don't always see. What are some of the tougher ones or even unfair ones that is part of your role?
Every action has a opposite reaction, and sometimes those reactions are big, sometimes they're small. And when you're making decisions for the best of the community and community interest, you're hoping those reactions are manageable,
Yeah.
and you try to mitigate them. If it's a decision about, generally the more contentious ones are about development and the neighbor that's living next door to the quiet woodland space, and now it's going to be developed. Well, property ownership has development rights, and people get to develop their property within the context of what the rules are when it comes to the town's official plan and zoning and things like that. But there's things that can help mitigate. So it's really about listening to that neighbor and finding out that they're not necessarily against the development, but they'd like a fence or they'd like a berm or whatever. And then you can actually work with the development and developer to say, site plan, when it comes to site plan, this is what we heard from the public. We'd like this, kind of tree planting. We'd like this taller fence. We'd like this and all that stuff. And generally, the developer is, fine with that. Exactly. But, and then at the end of the day, that person, next door neighbor, now will have some kind of development next to him or her and their property, but they know that all the efforts were taken to make sure that, their points were, or their concerns were addressed the best they
Right.
could be, right?
Right.
It's not a question of not going to happen, right? And it's hard to tell somebody that, this is going to happen.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
how can
yeah.
we work with it so it works well with your neighborhood, within the community, and how can we help mitigate some of the concerns you've addressed, right?
And,
That's
and
well
I'm not
said.
the mayor, so I can say realistically, if it's not your property, if it's someone else's property, like you said, given it's in the rules and regulations of town, they can pretty much do what they want. So I think it's a nice thing that the town does to listen to, the homeowners that are going to be affected, and not just say, well, I'm sorry, they can do what they want with their land.
Yeah.
You take in consideration their concerns and you kind of mediate with the developer. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that you do that.
And the other thing about communication is that you really, it's important to get that communication out there early and often, because if you don't, then the public will fill in their own narrative, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an important piece too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Part of the role of mayor is to be the biggest cheerleader of the town. And, I am absolutely the cheerleader of this community. It's not council that creates community. It's the people that live here that create community, right? It's not the mayor that creates community. Council can provide some of those foundational things and the inspiration and maybe some of the funding for whatever it might be, whatever those things are. But it is the backbone of this community and what makes it so great is that there's so many people that want to give so much back to the community, whether it's a few hours volunteering for Fire and Ice, whether it's doing a podcast like Kim Squared here. It is so many people, and it's inspiring. There's so many untold stories out there of people that are just out there helping, and willing to give and willing to support. And that's the success of our community.
It's been really amazing hearing about the person behind the role and your perspective on our community.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
To everyone listening, we hope today's conversation leaves you feeling more connected to the place you call home. We appreciate you joining us today and sharing your valuable insights about our community with heart. Your podcast, Abridged, a podcast with Mayor Maloney, is a fantastic resource for keeping us updated on all the exciting happenings in town. And we truly appreciate your commitment to making our community a better place for all our families. Thank you for your time and for all that you do. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Please connect with us at askmomstoday@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube and on Hunters Bay Radio 88.7 FM on the dial or www.muskogaradio.com. And as always, we hope we've helped you feel empowered, heard, and supported. And please remember, moms, dads, caregivers, kids, everybody. We know you're doing your best and you are not alone. So until next time, please take care of yourself and others when you can.
You've got this.